So, hello. Today I'm going to be doing my book unhaul. I have a bag full of books, and a lot has happened within the last so many weeks. So I'm having to let a lot of stuff go. But I refuse to let the books go that I haven't read yet, that I want to read. Don't mind the background noise, it's just somebody else in the house having a shower, one thing or another. But we're gonna roll with it. So I have this massive bag of books to show you and go through and to unhaul, to post on Instagram. And what will happen to these books is I will put them on the Facebook Marketplace, and if they don't sell, eventually I will donate them to charity shops and one thing or another, or see if a friend wants them, or yada, that kind of thing. So these are the books that I've read, reviewed, or that I've tried to read but couldn't get through the series because they really was not my cup of tea. I used to be really eager to read history books and one thing and another, so there's a lot of Philippa Gregory books in here. But since Mum's passing, things are kind of changed, so I know I'm not going to read them. They're just sitting. They were sitting in the bottom of my wardrobe and nothing was happening to them, so I was like, right, we need to sort this out. So, the first book I'm going to show you is I have not read. I bought it from my other half's. I bought it from my other half's charity shop where he volunteers, and I didn't realise at the time that it was the second book, not the first. And I had no intentions of getting the first book, so I kind of made a mistake on that, but I didn't donate it back or ask for a refund because I thought for £2.50 as charity I wanted the money to stay there. So it's Philippa Gregory Dark Times, and this is kind of like a history ones, and the first book is Tidelands in this series, so it's a hardback edition, and inside you get a map inside, which I think is really cool for someone who, as I say, I used to love reading history and one thing and another, but it's just as things have gone on and happened, it's just not my cup of tea anymore. So I'm going to be letting this one go. So I'm going to be letting that go. The second one I have read, I did not review. With this one, I started reading it, I think like a few years back, and I got halfway through and I really lost interest, but I knew that I wanted to pick it back up. So I left it in the wardrobe with my bookmark in there, and I finally picked it up and finished it. I regret the first book I really enjoyed, and I regret kind of getting rid of it now because I kind of want it back, but not the other two. So this is Nil Unlocked by, sorry if I pronounce this wrong, is it Eleni Matson? So this one was really interesting, and they finally got off the island. So I was happy that they finally got off the island, but we have a third book to go through. So I'm a bit kind of like, oh, we're going back. So yeah, this one was really interesting. If you kind of like island kind of mysteries, kind of I wouldn't say thriller, but kind of just something that's kind of linked to the Bermuda Triangle or some weird shit like that, this is going to be for you. But the cover is adorable. Doesn't have any special illustrations or anything like that, and it's just chapters and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not going to read every blurb on everyone or give details. I just want to show what I'm letting go. So I'm finally going to let this one go. It's really sad to let it go, but the first one was called Nil, and I read that one and I let it go, so I kind of regret that. The next book is part of a trilogy with Wither and Fever by Lauren. Can't pronounce the last name, so I'm just going to show you the book. I started the first book, I got 33 pages in, and it just didn't make me feel comfortable. It wasn't my cup of tea, so it's not often I give up on a book. It has to be really bad or not to my liking for me to be like, no, I'm not going to read this. I'm just going to give up on the series. So the other two, they're basically brand new and very good condition. So this one was just at the top of the bag, and this is Siva, I think I pronounced that right. But if you want the author's name, it's just there. For some reason, this one is in a massive edition. The other two are like small, normal size books, and this one's just in a massive print edition. I'm not sure if this is what they called large print books. So that's the cover for this one. And this series was about that there's like a virus and they only live up to certain age, men's and males and stuff, and they're trying to find cures and one thing and another. So I started the first one. I couldn't finish this series off, so for that reason, I know I'm not going to pick them up. There's no point in them just sitting there in my wardrobe or with all of the books that I have just doing nothing. So hopefully somebody else will either buy this or find it in a charity shop and they will enjoy it and appreciate it, because clearly I did not appreciate it. Talking about the book we just talked about, there's also, because that was a trilogy, there's Fever, so that's the second. I think that's the second. Not entirely sure. And then Wither is the first one. Yeah, so I definitely tried. I think I got up to chapter 4, which is like 30 pages. So yeah, I tried it. Wasn't my cup of tea. So yeah, it's River Fever and whatever. The next little one was I got from volunteering at the charity shop, and I'm going to give it away just because I haven't picked it up since or shown any interest, but because it was Scooby-Doo and I love Scooby-Doo, I was like, yeah, I'll pick it up. So it's Scooby-Doo, the mini book, and these were part of the Happy Meal things. So it's Scooby-Doo Haunted Castle, and it's basically like just a picture book of a story of Scoob and then some stickers in the back. So I'm just gonna pass that one along and see someone who's going to enjoy that. The next two books, I'm kind of really surprised that I'm letting them go, because I did review both of these on this channel rather. I did the reviews for them, I did the videos, I even have the paper copies of the reviews that I writ up, and I gave them really good stars. But there's a part of me that just sits there and think, realistically, I'm not going to pick them up again. And I think as much as the books were really enjoyable and I read them really fast, it's kind of the scenery and the dresses kind of for me. I have the rest of the books on Kindle. I only have the first 3 in physical copy because they were donated to the charity shop I volunteer at, and obviously because they weren't worth going on Amazon or eBay, I said could I buy them, so I did buy them. So yeah, so I bought the first 3, I've read the first 2, and I have the third to read in physical copy, and I'm going to review the rest of the series because I've now done the first 2, but I'm not going to keep the copies, but I'll keep the paper reviews that I typed up and just have them in a folder. And then obviously they're on my Instagram as well, so I've got records of them. So the first book in the Vampire Royals is The Pageant by Leah Walker, and they're enough to keep hooked. She's done loads and loads of more books that are on Kindle and stuff, so I was really lucky to come across these in physical copy, especially because they're printed by Amazon. So as a summary of this book, it's about a girl who goes and the royal family and the government of vampires, and she kind of find all these things, and there's a pageant, and the prince will pick one to be the winner, and you think throughout the second book it's most likely been it's most likely been The Girl in the Book. There's been times where I've read both of them and I've doubted them and I've been like, oh, it might be this other character who win, but yeah. So this is, but the cover is absolutely stunning and beautiful though. And I think there's a book 9 to come out with this series, so there's 8 books altogether so far. And then the second book that follows along the story, and this is, the dresses are a major part of these series because with the pageant there's so many different dresses. So this was the first dress she wore, and then for the gala, which is book 2 by Leah Walker, this is the second dress she wore. And the cover is absolutely beautiful because blue is my favourite colour. It's absolutely stunning, the dress and everything. So yeah, so if you want to check out the reviews for both of these, they are both on my channels. They'll be under the book review type of folder that's you can kind of do on YouTube, which I've done because I like to have everything organised. So yeah, I'm really surprised I'm letting this go myself, but I just don't think that realistically, even when I get through my pile, that I want to go back and reread them again. So that's the reason for letting go of that one. The next one, which I have not read, is The Red Queen by Philippa Gregory, and I'm 99% sure. That it's it's the BBC TV series, The White Queen. So I had the DVD, which I'm selling as well. I used to read a lot of like stuff and history thing, but I'm just not into it anymore with everything that's happened. So The Red Queen is going by Philippa Gregory. The Kingmaker's Daughter is going. These have not been read or touched. And then we have The White Queen, which is the covers for the BBC series. And then we have The White Princess by Philippa Gregory, which is also going to be unhauled and go. Along with the Lady of the Rivers, which will also be going as well. Along with other Philippa Gregory books, we have a hardback that hasn't been read that I've never picked up, which again, we have a map inside. And again, we have a map. And this is The King's Curse by Philippa Gregory. So going to be letting that one go. And the last one by Philippa Gregory is The Taming of the Queen by Philippa Gregory. I don't know why I keep saying that. And again, haven't read it, but just for the artwork on the inside of the cover, looks like that. It's the same on each side, and yeah, there's no other artwork in there, so those ones are going to be going. And the last book that is, well, it isn't the last book, but the last history book that will be going that I haven't read but I've learned a lot about at school and one thing another is the Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. So I'm going to be letting my copy go of this. As I say, I learnt about it at school and stuff, so I kind of know a lot about what happened and one thing and another, so I just feel like I don't need the book anymore. And again, I had the DVD, which I'm going to be letting go as well, so that's going to go as well. And then we just have a random cat tweets book with just random tweets of cats that I'm going to be letting go as well, just because I've kind of looked in it and I just feel like I don't need it anymore. And with mum being such a massive cat lover and no longer here, I just want somebody else to enjoy it, to be honest. So yeah, this is a little book of cat tweets, the funniest cats on Twitter, the antisocial pet work. So we're going to be letting that go. This book I haven't read, And again, I got this from a charity shop, and I have no interest in it. I don't want to read it. It doesn't take my fancy, and that is Greek Geekerella, a novel by Ashley Poston, if I pronounced that right. So the cover looks like this, and kind of like this, and then you just have kind of like when you get to part 3 and stuff. So kind of be letting that one go. I had no idea, but when I read the blurb, I was like, nah, it's not my cup of tea anymore. And the last 2 that I am getting rid of is I have read them, but I haven't reviewed them. So this one is How to Be Bad by 3 different authors. So yeah, I read them all the way through. I finished this one. It's not enough for me to keep it and want to reread it again or have it in my collection. So for that reason, I'm letting it go, and that's How to Be Bad. But I did read it. I did read it pretty quick though. So, but it's just something that I don't want to keep in my collection. And the last one that I've read all the way through, that I'm glad we finally got a reading out of it, but I'm letting it go because when I read the series, I borrowed the books from the library. I don't own the copies of them all again, and again, I'm not sure if it's something I want in my collection or if I want to reread them, so I'm going to be letting them go. But the cover is absolutely stunning, and I can't just keep it for the cover, and that is Believe Me by Tahara Mafi, if I pronounce that right. And they finally had a wedding and got married, so that is fantastic that we had, a conclusion. So we have all of these books down here as part of the series, and every book is beautiful in its own way with all the eyes and the artwork. So this is an absolute stunning cover. So yeah. So if I was to literally lift every single book up, I wouldn't be able to do it. So that is my 20 2022 unhaul, and maybe I'll do one at Christmas time once I've read more, if I've filled up another bag, or it'll be next year now. But this is my first ever unhaul, so I think I've done quite well.